comprise us, sometimes local law enforcement like DeKalb, Atlanta, or Decatur may get involved with that, and federal law enforcement depending on the type of the case. And they meet we meet twice a month to kind of discuss the current threats that we may have to the campus. Sometimes it takes, a threat may be a previous sexual assault case where, the victim may not want to pursue criminal charges. They may just want to have all the safety tips that they can and whatnot. So we do come together for that. As I said, it's a multidisciplinary team. We receive, assess, and respond to information on threats to the safety and security of university students, staff members, and visitors, and we can provide sanctions or guidance to various departments on how to support victims and mitigate threats. Moving on. So mitigation. Unfortunately, in the world we live in, there's just no 100% way to keep somebody safe. It's impossible. You can try and set up as many methods as you want, but sometimes it's impossible. I remember a case from Florida where the lady did everything right. She changed jobs to another location. She got a TPO. She changed houses. She changed her phone. She told her family not to provide any information to her ex, and he still wound up finding where she worked. He killed her, drove and killed her friend and her mom for helping her out with this situation. So it's just impossible to keep somebody 100% safe in our society. So what we do a lot of is kind of providing guidance and assistance to students or faculty members or staff when dealing with IPV or sexual violence type cases. And some of that can be in the form of obtaining a protective order. I know Wanda has helped me before, but I've testified on behalf of a victim at a protective order hearing to make sure that her protective order was granted. We provide them with resources such as the women's resource, can't think of the name, the Women's Resource Center in Decatur. We also give them tips as far as providing them with, giving them contact with Student Life to change their class schedule if they need to. For employees, we can move their work locations. They can change dorms. They can move parking locations within the parking office. If the aggressor in a DV case works at the university or healthcare system, they can terminate them and make sure, and we can ban them and criminally trespass them from our property. You can place no contact orders between students. We provide safety escorts. If somebody wants a safety escort, they just need to call the police department or use the LiveSafe app, which is something I'm going to talk about later. Let's say the aggressor is arrested and they want to know when the person is released. There's a program called BindLink that they can sign up for, and they can receive text messages, phone calls, or emails to let them know when the person that they're curious about is released. Just changing your routine, changing the way you come to work, changing how you walk through campus, and being mindful of your social media presence. I think we talked about that earlier before class starts. If you know one of your friends on your Facebook profiles is friends with your ex, or friends with the parent of the ex, or there's some connection through social media, the last thing you want to do when you're trying to get away from somebody is to post, "I'm going to be at a certain location at a certain time." That is a terrible thing to do. I don't have a social media profile. Well, I do have one, but it's strictly for investigations. But I don't have a personal Facebook page. And that kind of goes on to our last portion, which is LiveSafe. You mentioned the LiveSafe app earlier. Emory University just implemented this. It's a great app. There's a lot of things that students and various individuals that work or visit Emory can do. You can report tips. You can send pictures, videos, audios directly to us in real time, anonymously if you want to. You can share information about safety incidents or concerns, like suspicious activity or possible theft going on at a particular location. You can also live chat with somebody at the university's police department. There's also emergency options, like you said. You can press a button and immediately contact Emory Police. You can request a a police or escort on the app as well. There's other resources that are available on the app that may point you in the right direction depending on what you're looking for. And the safe walk function, which is I think is the most impressive thing, is if you and your friend are both using LiveSafe, you can have your friend watch you travel. You know, if you're going from point A to B, they can watch you in real time through your phone's GPS. And if you don't make it to where you're supposed to go, they can, you know, notify the police department immediately.
And it'll alert your friend too.
Yeah.
It'll say like, "Hey, she should have been there 10 minutes ago."
Oh wow, that's a good app.
Yeah. So it is a great app if you work or you know, attend Emory. I would suggest downloading this app. And there's flyers at the end of the table there. Does anyone have any questions? Any questions for me?
That's
One question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
So the officers and stuff that's here, that work here on campus, they're trained in all of this as well as, I mean, on how to actually address individuals that might have been some type of case or been assaulted. So you could, because sometimes I think a lot of people have a fear of dealing with officer or having to talk to a male officer if I was a female. It's just the comment that you made, like, what were you wearing? I think being able to address them in a certain way. So you're saying that you guys have been trained on how to actually talk to victims that might have been victimized by someone else.
Yes, we do receive training on that. And
Is that across the board for all schools or just Emory?
I would imagine a majority of university, I would like to imagine that a majority of universities probably put their officers through some specific training to deal with, you know, victims who are recently, you know, traumatized. I can't say all of it. I know Georgia Tech, for instance, does. You know, we do receive a lot of training at Georgia Tech. But I think the best part about how Emory operates is we are very selective when we're picking officers to join the police department. It's a small police department. There's no more than 50 of us, and we get them. You know, we get applicants from all walks of life, from various departments. People who have never policed before, people who are fresh out of college, and we're able to really pick and make sure that the officer that we're, you know, bringing into the police department has that right personality. Because I'll be honest, you know, just like in any occupation, I'll say that, just like in any occupation, you have your people, you have your police officers that deserve to be there, you have your police officers that just do their job and go home, and you have a lot of officers that also, they don't need to wear the badge. And, you know, for us, we are able to, you know, our strenuous hiring processes allow us to make sure we get the best of the best. So, I mean, even beyond the training, I think you get a lot of people who are sympathetic, people who are affable kind of personality, and people who are very, you know, genuine. Any other questions? All right. My business card is at the end. The LiveSafe pamphlets are at the end. Please follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Emory Police. We'd love to get more likes. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
You guys have any last minute questions? All right, okay, so we're winding down. We have 2 more speakers and then you guys are out of here. You guys are just holding in really good. I hope it's helpful. I hope this is really good for you guys. All right, so what I want to do is I want to change again. The doctor is here. I want to get the psychiatrist perspective about helping victims of sexual violence and some of her personal experience with the field approach. You know, she's worked with many victims. She's an advocate. She's a powerhouse. So please, guys, welcome Dr. Nisha Shah. She's Emory psychiatrist and also part of the Emory Psychoanalytic Institute. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. They're just way of doing it. Get you up there. Oh, the picture is probably faster. Yeah.
Okay, let's just do that.
Pull up both just in case. Right here.
for hanging. I looked at the end at the schedule, and I immediately thought, wow, these are like very focused, very sort of dedicated people. I think this is a wonderful chance to think about something that strangely is not talked about a lot, and is often kind of ignored for very interesting reasons that I hope that we can have a conversation about. So, first of all, Diane, thank you for inviting me to this forum. What my hope is that we'll have an opportunity to help you guys get a little bit more invigorated, and invigorated enough to carry this thought process with you kind of when you leave here, and continue thinking about it, and continue having a conversation, not just within your community, but outside of your community, because that's actually really where this conversation can have the most impact. And actually, it's not talking with the people that get it. It's talking with the people who don't get it, and trying to understand why they don't get it, and why that is happening in the way that it's happening. So let's start, of course, with the definition. So this is the definition that I'm approaching this with, all right? So this is intimate partner violence, and it's the United Nations definition from 2006. So it's violence occurring in the family, including battering, sexual abuse of female children in the household, dowry-related violence, marital rape, female genital mutilation, and other traditional practices harmful to women, non-spousal violence, and violence related to exploitation. It can also be violence occurring within the general community, including rape, sexual abuse, sexual harassment, intimidation at work, in educational institutions and elsewhere, trafficking in women, and forced prostitution. And violence perpetrated or condoned by the state wherever and whenever it occurs. So why me today? So my interest with working with survivors first began when I was running with an ambulance corps in Jersey City and in Hoboken, New Jersey, and I felt moved enough to consider it as a serious part of my medical school training. And I worked with women organized against rape in Philadelphia, and after hearing a very disconcerting lecture given by a medical school professor about these poor women, that made me feel very angry and upset about the implied pity and shame that is often assigned to survivors of domestic violence, and that did very little to combat the stigma of it. I organized one of the first medical student trainings about survivor advocacy with WAR Philadelphia, and helped to run an on-call team of medical students that worked at the Jefferson ER as advocates for survivors. I also ran fundraisers. My experience of this combined with my work in psychiatry rotations, and that had led me here to Emory for a psychiatry residency. And I trained as an Emory resident and as a candidate at the Psychoanalytic Institute, where I am still training. I then went to the Atlanta VA, and I was a trauma recovery psychiatrist there for about 3 years. I focused in military sexual trauma in particular, which is everywhere, and we just don't talk about it. I also, at the